Hello. Welcome to the Mother Days podcast. I am your host, Sarah Wright Olsen. I almost said I'm your host, Teresa Palmer.
Oh my God, you can be Teresa Palmer.
Sarah Wright Olsen.
Oh my God. Were you going to do it in the Australian accent? Teresa.
I was going to try and fail. And my face just got red because I really did almost say that.
Oh my God. Because you're looking at me.
I know. I'm looking at you. I'm like, I'm your host, Teresa Palmer.
Palmer. What is Palmer? What even is that? I mean, really?
I don't know. That was not
Oh
good. That was not my best work. I need a moment with a voice coach. Okay, you guys, we're so excited today. We have an amazing guest on the pod. I think that this guest and I met each other, at least it has to have been 15, 16 years ago, doing a movie called The House Bunny. Oh my gosh. This movie was so fun and so crazy.
Fun.
And if any of you guys out there have seen The House Bunny, then you will recognize this voice. Ladies and gents, we have Rumer Willis here today.
Woo-hoo. Woo, 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 woo.
Hi, welcome, Rumer.
You worked with Anna Faris.
You were. Anna
I
Faris.
love her. I love Anna so much. And that movie was hilarious. If people haven't seen it, wait, so it's about a Playboy bunny, right? Anna plays a Playboy bunny. And is she like reintegrating into society? Is that what it is?
She gets kicked out of the mansion. She's too old. It's like her 26th birthday, which is terrifying.
It is terrifying.
She's 26.
And they're like, you're too old.
Yeah, she was 26 and she got kicked out of the Playboy mansion. And so she comes to be a mother, like a house mom at a sorority house of the sort of like
that's right.
left behind. I know, the left behind sorority. I don't know. I was the villain. I mean, the fact that I was the villain in it, just the mean girl.
You were so great. Do you remember that day that we were in that hot bar, like in the Valley of Burbank, trying to do the karaoke, and we were all just like getting heat stroke.
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, the things behind the scenes, that's right. The Valley is always very hot. So you guys, Rumer is here. Rumer is an actress. She is a singer. She is she's going to have to say it because I don't even remember how to say it. She's a doula in
training. But I love how she describes it. Doula of the feminine arts. Please explain that, because I was like, I want that. I want that thing.
I know. I want that
too. I had a friend of mine, and I was talking about wanting to be a doula, but also, my sister Scout and I have been deeply ingrained in this kind of like sexual scientist kind of work. And so I thought, maternity and pregnancy is so separate from our sexuality.
Yes.
How do we integrate that? There's so much separation, even in trying to conceive, that becomes this routine and becomes this kind of, all right, well, we're ovulating, so let's do this then and here. And it takes away, I don't know, all of the juiciness of it. And I just feel like we need to have a doula. There's a postpartum doula. There should be, prenatal doula or all of it. And it's got to integrate all the aspects of femininity, even from when, we're teenagers and we're learning about sexuality and we're learning about pleasure and how to advocate for ourselves in those situations. Everything is so separate as a woman, where it's like, okay, you're puberty. No one talks to you about sex. Just don't get pregnant and don't get an STD.
Yeah, exactly.
You're a mom and you're in another category, and then you're in menopause and it's another category.
Yeah.
And nobody shares trade secrets between the three.
Yeah. I know. It's almost like there should be this like there should be like this gathering of like sex education for women in their like 20s, who's like, okay, like I'm thinking about having a baby, I'm going to grab my prenatals, but maybe I'm also going to go have this conversation and like talk to people and try to understand like a little bit more about my body. And it's fascinating. You're so right. I mean, the sex education that I got at my school in Kentucky in health class was so minimal. We were a very religious town. My dad was a pastor, so everything was like no sex conversations. Talking about it was just really shameful. And so as lovey-dovey as my mom and dad were, it was like, as long as we don't talk about it, she's not going to go just like have sex, you know?
Totally.
And by the way, they were right. I was like terrified to have sex. I was so scared. But that didn't work on my brother. You know, my brother was like the opposite of me. He was like, whatever. He didn't care. So yeah, you're totally right. That's absolutely fascinating. I want to hear more about that. And I know that your mom had home births with you guys. Is that right? So tell us a little bit about.
She did it at the hospital, but she did it like, very. No, what do you call it now? That's like the PC way of saying it. Because I know people say natural birth. People now are like offended because all birth is natural. It's like unmedicated or physiological, intervention free. Let's call it.
Yeah. Physiological birth. Unmedicated birth, vaginal birth.
Yeah. However, she literally was actually in Kentucky. I was born in Kentucky.
You were born in Paducah.
Yeah.
I was reading that on Wikipedia and I didn't know that. That's only like 2 hours from Horse Cave where I grew up, which is crazy. Yes. I had no idea. I mean, I was in high school by the time you were born, but still, it doesn't matter.
I just like to pretend that like at heart, I'm slightly a Southern gal.
Yeah, you are. You're a Southern gal. You're a Southern gal. Okay, tell us about that. I want to hear.
She was out there. My dad was shooting a movie out there and she had this doctor and she went in, she was 25 and she was, she said, this is how I want to do it. I want to try and do it without drugs and blah, blah. And this doctor she had was like, I don't think so. Are you sure about that? Just like the most demeaning of every.
Yes. I've had that conversation before. Okay.
Well, everybody wants to tell you that when you're pregnant. Are you sure? You're like, yeah.
Well, we hear that a lot. Is what they say.
Just wait.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And so she switched doctors like a week before she gave birth to me.
Oh, wow.
And went to the La Leche League in Kentucky. And they were like, all right, you gotta, like, this is the doctor you should go to. She met this doctor, talked to him about what she wanted. And he was like, listen, I hear what you're wanting. And all I ask is that we let common sense prevail. And, he said something, I'm going to butcher it, but he said something too about like how he treats his animals, like having just like natural birth. And I think she was like, that's my guy.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
By the way, that's so
it.
true. Wow. And so how did she talk about it to you guys? Like,
I mean, I've seen it because she videoed it. So I've like seen the video and it was,
you've seen your own birth.
Amazing. It's so cool. It's rad. It's so cool to watch.
And you got to see the transition of your mom from like not being a mother into like just being birthed into this whole other new role.
Yeah.
So you were there for your sister's births as well, is that right?
Yeah. For my sister Scout, I was there. For my sister Tallulah, and then with my stepmom and my younger sister Mabel.
Oh my God.
So I got to see quite a bit for like, a non-birth worker. I've seen quite a bit of birth, and it was so cool just to be, I mean, I don't quite remember it now, but my mom was telling me the other day about when my sister Scout was born. I was like 3 or 2.5, I think. And I was right up there with her. And I was like, you did so good pushing the baby out, mommy. And, I was like right there with her. And I think that's so cool and so important. I know you guys have kind of done it that way with your kids. And I think it's so important to teach kids, and again, to just integrate and really normalize physiological birth in a way so that it's not this, I don't know, made into this whole thing that movies and television and how everyone portrays it as like, it's this hugely painful thing and you have to have all of this and it's so scary and there's all of this stuff.
All the fear mongering.
There's a time and place. Absolutely. It's just, it breaks my heart. I've had a couple friends recently who just had children and they were really like, I don't know. I mean, look, everyone's birth experience I honor and is their whatever they feel comfortable with. But I just felt bad because I was like, man, would you have made these same decisions if you were like, if you had all of this different information? Maybe you would have, and that's fine. But maybe there's, I don't know, a middle ground for something different, for something in between.
It's so true. And, you know, we're talking to you today and we know that you have embarked on your journey now. You're heading towards birth. You're now pregnant with your first bubby. I was so excited when I heard the news, and it's funny, like, unlike Sarah, you and I didn't meet on a movie, but I feel so connected to you through the things that you post. The like, one of the silver linings of social media is that you can find other like-minded people. And I was like, oh, she's becoming a mum? Like, wow, this makes sense in the world. Like, this woman is a nurturer and I can just tell, like, this is so your path. How are you feeling? How has it been with pregnancy? Where are you at mentally with the birth? And I just want to talk to you about just all the feelings going on as you head towards that day.
Totally. I feel the same way about you, Jess. Like, I feel like even though too I know you, Sarah, I'm like, you guys are like I don't know, I feel like such a fangirl too, because I'm like, yes, bring on the kids. I'm like, the more the merrier. People feel like I'm crazy when I say that I have 6 kids. I'm like, let's go.
Let's go.
And anybody I can talk about, anybody who, you know, can talk about the way that you guys also talk about it. I'm like, yes, these are my people. I need to like hang out because they know the kind of program that I'm trying to run over here.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm so excited. I fully thought I was going into labor the other day because I had my baby shower and then I was out till like 3:30 in the morning at an Oscar party, and then was also in the midst of then like planning this brunch for the business of being born. And I looked at my partner and I was like, babe, we gotta, like, something's going on. I don't know what's happening. But I ended up going to see Dr. Crane at like 9:30 at night. He was like, you're fine. Your cervix is not dilated. You're fine.
Perfect.
Okay.
Oh, Dr. Crane. That's who I gave birth with Bodhi, because I had a home birth transfer. And he was my backup doctor. And I got to go in and I had stopped having contractions at 10 centimeters dilated. So I had to transfer, and I had PROM, so pre-rupturing of the membranes. And Dr. Crane was unbelievable. He was that just advocate for listening to the woman and just letting me do my thing. He's like, all right, we need to give her a little bit of Pitocin to like bring the contractions back on. And you'll just be there and you'll just like get it done. And I was like, thank you so much for not coming and waving all the things in my face, because he's just like sort of let me do my thing, and then really gave me such a great note on pushing. And this is my first baby, so I had no idea. And he was like, just push into your butthole. I was like, oh. He was like, just like really focus like in the butthole. And I was like, okay. So,
oh my God, why does that word like make me laugh so much?
The butthole. Butthole.
Yeah,
he did it in his like smooth, cool American accent. Butthole. But yeah. And
oh my God.
changed the pushing for me. I was like, I immediately changed my pushing, and it was only 30 minutes of pushing for a first baby, which was actually like quite a short period of time. So thank you, Dr. Crane. Yes. I'm so excited that you're birthing with him. He's amazing.
We love you, Dr. Crane.
Yeah, he's great. He's my backup doctor because I'm doing, I mean, ideally, the first lesson that I will share with all first-time moms that I know you guys know that was a humbling experience for me during this was you have no control and you just have to surrender because nothing is in your power. So I've made, my highest intention and preference is a home birth. If that does not prevail, then I will, be at the hospital. But I have an incredible midwife and doula team who are unbelievable. I have, my like bathtub for the living room. I've got like all of my goodies.
Cute.
But it's wild. I wanted to be a mom, I think, since I was like, 19, I would have done it. Thank God I didn't. But
yes.
And I think the biggest and the hardest thing for me in the beginning was how challenging it was emotionally to get just like balanced with all of the changes that were going on and to not have that just constant level 10 oxytocin high of like this thing that I've wanted forever is happening. Holy shit. It was just like, wow, this is so hard and I feel like crap and my partner's on tour and I don't know how to, like, I can't even figure out how to feed myself enough. And I don't feel totally connected to this little being. And I then was holding such shame about not feeling like immediately connected, and then you look on Instagram, which is of course, obviously not real life, and everyone's like, I'm so happy. I've waited for this for so long. And I'm like, God, what's wrong with me? Like, I was pretty miserable for the first like 3 months, which I know people are, but I think it was just such half of me couldn't believe it was actually happening. I think there's part of me that still doesn't quite believe that it's actually happening. And then the other half, I think, was kind of what you guys were talking about, which is just you're upgrading so fast into this new person.
Yeah.
And becoming, someone said this to me, or I read it in some book, that your child will bring forward, what is it, like circumstances to turn you into the kind of mother that they need you to be.
Yeah.
So they'll start bringing forward karmically, like all of your stuff as you're pregnant to get you to deal with it if you're not dealing with it so that you can like level up to be who they need you to be. And I don't know if that happens for everyone, but this kid is like, has been
bringing it. Like, get ready, mama.
Oh my gosh. I mean, they also really, they say that about, I love that. And I've also heard that about the birth experience, which is that, everything that sort of comes your way during the birth experience, like sets you up for and prepares you for whoever this little being is. And so, which is really fascinating, especially like after the fact, which the cool thing about this interview that we're having with Rumer today, or this conversation, is that we are also going to have a conversation with Rumer after she gives birth. So, which is so cool because we get to talk to her now. And I think it's really rare to like hear from somebody before and then to hear from them after, because we discuss this a lot where it's like we have these ideas about, what we're sort of looking forward to, our preference, our excitement, like what, we envision and, for the day of, and you never know. It's like it can be exactly how you hoped it would be. It can be different and amazing in another way.
Yeah.
And so it's just fascinating. And with all the birth stories that we hear, there's always some
a pivot
story to it, you know, something. So so you're talking about the first 3 months, because I think that's so amazing that you brought that up, because in every single one of my pregnancies, I felt like absolute shit in the first 3 months. And Eric says I always end up being like a curled up like puppy in front of a fireplace, like wrapped in a blanket. And he's like, and you kind of don't talk for like the first 3 months. I'm just like, don't feel good, super nauseous. I'm kind of keep to myself. And then I always like to describe it that like, for me, around 14, 15 weeks, this like dark cloud that's been hanging over my head, like sort of like the clouds start to pull apart and the sunshine comes out. And then I'm like, wait, what? Like, where have I been? Oh my gosh. And then all of a sudden I can like connect with myself again, you know, where I'm just like, oh, this is me. I recognize this person who I was before. And like, whatever this heavy cloud has been really intense. And then, you know, somehow that goes away. And, you know, so talk us through a little bit of that. Like, what happened when you started to get into your second trimester? How was it for you and your partner? Like when you first found out you were pregnant, were you just like, wait, oh my God, this is nuts. Like tell us about that. I want to hear that story.
Okay. So it's pretty wild. I thought I had long COVID. Cause I was like, I'm not pregnant. There's like, you know, I always used to think I was pregnant all the time. But like, you know,
me too. Me too.
I always think I'm pregnant, even though I would be like, I haven't even had sex. There's no way I could be pregnant. But
I always have pregnancy tests in my like top drawer in my bathroom, because like every second month I'm like, I'll just to have a little pee just to check. I'm like, oh,
definitely.
Okay, I'm not.
Yeah, right. So I think I had a test somewhere in my house that was like from, I think, when like a friend had come over and brought one when she was pregnant. And so I was like, because my periods aren't bad, you know, and I don't get like crazy tender breasts or anything like that. And I was like, all right, this is weird. Something's going on. My period is late and my boobs look nice. They're too nice. Weird. So I took a test, but because I'm wildly impatient, I threw it out because I didn't see a pink line right away.
Oh.
Totally threw it in the trash.
There was a squinter.
And then I was like, yeah. And so then I was doing something. It was early in the morning. And then I was like, oh man, maybe I shouldn't put it in the regular trash, just because like, if I'm not, like, this is weird. You know, I can't just have like a rogue pregnancy test. I have a roommate and this is just, you know. So I went to look in the trash again, like, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes later, and it had 2 lines on it. And I was like, oh my God. So I'm literally sitting in my bathroom like, whoa. Okay, how do I feel about this?
Who was the first person that you called?
Well, my roommate was at the house and I was like, so I'm going to go to the doctor, because I was like, I have to figure, my boyfriend was literally about to leave to go on tour for 3 months. I was like, I have to make sure that this is a real thing and not, you know, that I'm not going to have like an early miscarriage or, you know, before I tell him, before he's like goes off, I need to really, you know, check what's going on. So I literally went to my doctor that day, did a blood test. And I didn't even know what to say to him. I was so nervous because we hadn't been together that long. We'd only been together like 3.5 months.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. So it's not like you were trying, you were like not in the vibe of like, let's try and have a baby together.
No, we were like still very like, cool. Like, do you want to be my girlfriend? Do you want to be my boyfriend? Like,
oh my God, yes.
Full on. And I was like, okay. Wow. And I literally like got a call the next day. The doctor was like, yeah, you're very pregnant. And I was like,
oh my God.
Very pregnant?
Yeah. And I was like, damn, okay, well, and then I was so panicked, you guys. I didn't know how to tell him because I was like, how am I going to tell him? And I had like made up this whole scenario because I'm such an actor. I had this whole scenario in my mind of him being like, oh, I can't even look at you. Like this, I'm so stressed. And him just like panicking, you know.
He definitely doesn't seem like that at all.
No. He did it so well to the, like, I think I waited a week because I just stopped. I was smoking cigarettes and I had to stop. And he kept being like, so do you want to go outside and smoke? And I was like, no, I'm good. And then finally I just was like, hey, I have something to tell you. And I think he told me later that he thought I was just going to say, I love you.
Oh my God.
He was like, so, and I just blurted it out and I was like, my period was late and I took a test and it was positive and I think I'm pregnant. And he was like, wait, what kind of test? Slow down. And I just was shaking so bad because I was so nervous. God. And he was like, whoa, okay. Are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. And he handled it like such a champ. And within like 20 minutes of us just kind of processing it, he was like, so we're going to do this, yeah? And I was like, really? You don't need time to think about it? You're just like, he was so sweet, was so kind. And he's going to be such an incredible dad. He's so sweet and takes such good care of me. Such an angel. Like,
wait, so I saw the pregnancy came before the I love yous?
Oh, yeah.
This is the best story. I'm dead.
God.
This is the best story.
This is the best story of my life. This is the best story of my life.
Best story.
Well, what's cool is what we both realized, and we've had many conversations about it, is like, this kid was like, I'm not going to let you guys mess this up by letting, whatever. Because I like to think about it that way, that, your kid chooses you. And so, we laugh about it, but we're just like, yeah, this kid was like not interested in letting us screw it up. So just like, I'm coming in. You have no choice.
Like the glue. All right, you guys, you're together. Wow, yeah. Rumer, what a story.
That is so fascinating. I have a friend who years ago was going through like a divorce or separation, and the friend was like so frustrated at her partner, and she went to like talk to this medium. But it was this amazing moment where the medium was like, your child chose you, but your child also chose your partner. Mm-hmm. And there's a reason for that. And so understand that like the two of you needed to be together for this child to come into this world. And that child is part you and part your partner. And I was like, whoa, I never thought about it like that, but it's so true.
Yeah. I feel like
oh my God. Okay.
That's like how we look at Isaac with Frankie and Mark. Like Frankie and Mark were never meant to be together in that way. They are like brother and sister, and they both feel like they came together for Isaac. Like that was his way through into this world, was to come bring them together. And then, they split up when he was a baby, but they're like, it was the best thing that ever happened to us. Like he came through us in that way.
Totally. It's like there's some kind of, karma that the kids or whatever that little soul is, that's like, I need you and you. I think the same thing with my parents. You know what I mean? They weren't meant to be a couple, but for whatever reason, we had to be a little bit of each of them for some reason.
Your blended family is incredible.
I know.
I always find other blended families as like blended family goals. And to see the way that your stepmom, Emma, that's her name, Emma?
Yeah.
Emma, and I say, in my Australian accent, I say Demi, but I know it's Demi. Demi. But I've always said Demi because I'm such a huge fan of your mum and her work, and she's incredible. And my mum, by the way, is in the other room, and she was like, I said who I was interviewing today. And
my God, like, do her accent.
She was like, that's unbelievable. Maybe I could just pop in and say hello. And I was like, well, maybe after the interview, Mom.
It's exactly what her mom sounds like.
She knew all about you. She knew how old your mum was when she gave birth to you. I was like, wow, Mom, I had no idea. Anyway, but I think you guys have such an amazing blended family because I see how you've come together. And I know your dad has recently been struggling with some health issues. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that really struck me was this family. You are one connected, beautiful family communicating and tackling this thing together. And I was like, look at the bonds, look at the love, look at everything that you guys have navigated to come together in this way. And I was saying to my own blended family, like, oh, there's such goals. Like, that is incredible. And there are not that many people who manage to be back in partnership with one another in that way. And I think it's so beautiful.
I'm so grateful for it, honestly. I never had to choose or split Christmases or holidays or birthdays. And I'm really so grateful. I feel like my mom and my dad too, but my mom really spearheaded that integration of our family. Because the truth is like, look, when you decide to become a parent, it's not about you anymore.
Yeah.
You can marry someone and you can get divorced and you choose to bring a child into the world with someone. And it's something my partner and I have talked about a lot. I said, we've talked about, I said, look, like, I love you no matter whatever dynamic, like, I love him and I'm pretty sure we'll probably get married. But like, if, whatever happens, like, we are partners first and foremost in being parents and in raising this person and hopefully more little people, and that is our first priority. So our stuff, whatever that may be at different points as we all grow and learn and are challenged by our relationships and partners, that is unchanging for the rest of your life with whoever that is. And that to me is more important of deciding who you're going to have a kid with sometimes than who you're going to marry, any of the other stuff.
Absolutely. And I have to second Teresa because your guys' post for your dad's birthday like totally made me cry. And I'm not a stalker or anything, but like your sister's embroidery on his sweater, like why did that make me teary? It was like the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. I was just like, your sister was like, shout out to my embroidery. And I was like, oh my God. It's like, it's just so a daddy-daughter relationship. I lost my dad like 6 years ago, and it's just so right here on the surface all the time for me. I was so close to my dad. And so anytime I see it, on Instagram or in a movie or a freaking commercial or a song, like I just lose it, and but I love it. I love seeing you guys all together. And the thing I was going to say is that well, first of all, when I met your boyfriend, I swear, I thought you guys have been together for 10 years. I mean, you guys are so connected. It's so beautiful. You can just really see the love there. But when I was looking at that post that you did the other day for your dad's birthday, I was just thinking, seeing your belly there and everything. Like, look at what you're bringing this baby into, this beautiful world, all these beautiful women and men that are so like connected and loving. Wow. Like this is going to be such an amazing space for this baby. And you could just feel it. I could feel it looking at it and, being in your guys' presence the other day and seeing you guys together. We were at this event that Rumer was throwing for the business of being born. And we're both huge fans of Abby and Ricky, and just like, this energy in the room there was just so major. I mean, I was like buzzing when I was buzzing when I left that room.
She was buzzing.
I left Teresa like a 15-minute voice memo. Not really, but kind of. And I was just like, oh my God, I just can't even handle. It was long. It
was so cute.
But it was just cool to see you. It's cool to see you guys together. So So then after your like first few months then and your partner's on tour, how was it for you afterwards? Like in the next few months of pregnancy, what were the things that were kind of shocking to you that you maybe didn't know were going to come up for you? And then, you know, how was that?
Something that I think has been a huge challenge just in my life, and something that then I feel like pregnancy really brought forward for me to work through was, like I said earlier, around surrender and not having control. Because I had a picture in my head from a very young age of like, I'm going to get pregnant at 25 and I'm going to have this many kids and this is how it's going to be. And these are their names. And, you know, I'm going to have an unmedicated birth and this is how, and I'm going to be this kind of pregnant person. And my sisters and my mom are going to be there when I give birth and I'm going to be here. Like I had painted the most beautiful picture, right? And it was so detailed. And so when that, like anytime it would veer off of that, this anxiety would grow in me. And it hit because I was like, well, my mom had me at 25. So then I should have a partner and be pregnant by 25. And then I hit 25 and went past 25 and went past 30 and was like, oh, okay, well, and I just kept feeling so behind. And I kept feeling like I'm too late. I'm missing something. And then I got pregnant and I thought I would be that kind of very casual. Oh, and I was like, I'm not going to find out what the gender is because, you know, it's the last great surprise in life. You know, I just had so many things so detailed. And then I'm sitting there and I'm miserable and I'm feeling so disconnected from this like tiny little being that has chose us. And I'm like, but I can't find out. And I was just still being so rigid and being so rigid with like, this is how my family should be showing up for me. And this is how my partner should be showing up. And this is how I should be, that I had like wrapped myself in this. I couldn't even like connect with the joy of it. I couldn't even connect with, oh my gosh, I'm having a baby, this thing that I've wanted for so long. And it just happened in this like kind of magical way. And I was just so focused on what wasn't there that I was really struggling. And so even after Derek got home, because he was gone for the first 3 months, I was still kind of in that weird, like crunchy resistance space for a while. And it wasn't till I would say towards like the end of the second trimester where I was like, you know what, I need to find out what the gender is, because I'm trying to be this like cool person who's like casual and calm. And maybe that's not who I am.
Yeah. Owning that.
maybe I need to know. And I'm robbing myself of connecting with this child in service of preserving the picture that I had.
Yes. Wow.
And I found out and it changed everything. I was so delighted. I was
to know.
Totally changed everything.
I need to know.
I do too.
And everything that you just said, I feel like you could be speaking for me. That is same story.
Very Teresa.
Very like Teresa. Wanting to have my baby at 25. I mean, Sarah met me when I was 25 and I was like, the boyfriend I was with, I was like, wait, this is not going to be the person I'm going to have a baby with. What am I going to do? Like, I'm getting too old. I need to find my husband. I need to have a baby. Sarah's like, but you're 25. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm supposed to have a baby by now. And in fact, I wanted a baby at 23. And I ended up, and then by the way, like, thank God what you said, I really believe in, that Bodhi decided to choose that like Mark was my person, because we had only been together for about 6 months and I was so desperately ready to find my person. But everything you said, I can so relate to that, Rumer, because I had the same narrative in my head from such a young age. Like, then we'll get married and we'll have this and we'll have so many children and I can be an actor and I can be a mum and like the person that I ended up having a family with was absolutely not the kind of person that I had envisioned when I was so much younger. I was like, you know, my man is like so like deep and spiritual and, you know, has a lot of trauma and all the thing. But I had envisioned someone without any of that stuff. Which, by the way, I found out later, like I find like straighty 180 so boring. Like I have to gravitate towards like grit and depth, and like I want that, I crave that. But yeah, I love that you said that, and that you recognize that you wanted to find out the gender, because I also thought I'd be like, whatever, just go with the flow. Like I have to find out the gender. I realized, like, even with this fourth baby, I've now got boys, I've got a girl, I have the fourth baby. Like it's the first thing I needed to know, because I wanted to know her, like for some reason for me, knowing like if it was a boy or a girl helped me like lock in a name and help me like talk to her in a way. And you never know who they are when they come out. Like they might be totally different to how you envision, but that was a little piece I needed. And it was so interesting to hear that you also felt that you needed to know that. And that's okay.
Yeah. Because it personifies them. It makes them into a person. And
Yes.
as opposed to just this amorphous kind of thing, especially when you aren't necessarily feeling them move yet. Or, you know, before that, I'm like, there could be a shrimp. There could be a tiny shark in my belly. No clue. No idea. And you see it. But I don't know. And I was absolutely wrong too about what I thought, which was hilarious. I was like totally convinced.
Wow.
But that shifted everything for me. And it was like the start of my ability to surrender, because I was also so scared of like, oh my God, you know, like we haven't been together that long. Like maybe this isn't going to be what he wants. Like, you know, even though he was showing up, I was just so afraid.
Yeah.
I was so afraid that it like blocked me from even being able to recognize how he was showing up for me. And that us finding out was like such a catalyst. We were going to try and keep it between us. And then I totally biffed it and like couldn't help it. And told my sisters.
A bunch of people.
and then I was, you know.
Oh my gosh.
And then since then, I'm so delighted. I'm so excited to like meet this kid and see who they are. And I don't know, just like laugh with them. It's so crazy how they become a person so fast.
Yes.
Because I didn't know for, I don't know, 6 months.
I mean, that's something that I think I just recently talked about on the podcast, where there was this like time towards the end of my pregnancy when I was very first pregnant with Wyatt, and Eric and I would just lay there and go like, it's not going to be that long before there's a baby between us in this bed. And we're just going to be like rubbing his feet and like, you know, he's going to be cooing and making noises. And we just like couldn't get over it. Like it just felt so bizarre, you know, and I would just lay in bed. And those were some of the most amazing memories too, by the way, of like pregnancy, were those like dreamy. It was always summer for me. I always have my babies at the same time. And so it was like summer and hot out. And so I'm like laying on the bed in the air conditioning and the sun's coming through and I'm like reading Ina May books and like feeling the baby move and, you know, and like laying on bed and picturing the baby like snoozing in the bed with me. And it's just like, it's just so amazing. Dreamy. And it really does. Like, how did you, the moment you found out the gender, what did you did you start doing that thing where you're like talking to your baby and like, did somebody sort of guide you through that? Did you have a doula that helped you through some of that connection? Or did you just feel like, oh, now it's this and now it's like, I'm getting a download from the universe. Like I'm feeling it. Here we go. Like, how was that?
It was like, well, I'm trying to think of like, I'm sure everyone will probably know anyway by the time that this comes out. What
you don't have to tell.
No,
you don't have to
tell
us.
Keep it for you.
No, keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself.
I was convinced that it was the opposite of what I was having. So we looked at the sheet and I was like, no way.
Wow.
And then I just had this moment where I was like, am I upset? I'm kind of disappointed. Okay. No, wait. Actually, oh my God. This is great. I wouldn't even know how to do that. Okay, great. And then as soon as I had that moment, I was so delighted. I was like, I'm so, like, I cannot wait.
This makes sense.
This is going to be epic. Yeah, I was like, of course, it could be nothing but this. And then, I don't know, it was like suddenly, because I was calling the baby Newt for the first 6 months because I needed some name. I couldn't just keep saying it or the baby.
Yeah.
And so, so I was just saying Newt. And suddenly it was like, oh yes, me and my tiny friend, like we're just hanging out. And it was just like everything kind of clicked into place, like this puzzle piece of like you and me, we're like trying this in the point. We got this. We're like figuring it out. And I don't know, I just started getting so excited and delighted. And I feel like this kid, I mean, again, who knows, is very like snuggly and fiery, probably an Aries. And
yes, I have an Aries.
I just want to meet them, you know? I just want to meet them. I'm so delighted. Yes. Although I'm jealous of you, Sarah, because I really wish it was summer because this rain is just
oh my gosh, I know, I'm sure. I mean, when I gave birth, it was like had been like 100 degrees though, so I was just like so done with the heat. But yeah, I mean it's been raining nonstop here. So
what is Wyatt's birthday?
Wyatt's is August 16th.
So that's my birthday.
What?
That's my birthday too.
Oh my gosh, you're a Leo.
Yeah, I remember hearing on the podcast and I was like, ooh, yes, Wyatt.
Oh my God. Oh my God, August that makes so much sense because Wyatt is my like sweet, calm angel baby. Like he's like firstborn, all firstborn tendencies. Yes. He's just like the sweetest little lion, you know, like he's, oh my gosh.
Do you know what's crazy is that my fourth baby is August 17th. So Sarah and I celebrate our babies on the same day because I'm a day ahead here in Australia. So she's saying, like, doing her happy birthday post for Wyatt the same day I do my like happy birthday one. So all of us are celebrating that same day. That is amazing.
That's so special.
I love that.
I was just gonna say that you're about to embark on I think my favorite memory in motherhood. It's hard to pick one because I just love so much of being a mum, but there's nothing like the feeling of those first few weeks postpartum as a new mum. And when I think back on it, I get emotional. It is just, you're just like this new little person. Like it's like you're learning to walk for the first time and you're nursing and you're trying and you're stumbling and you're trying to just figure out this new little thing and you're meeting their needs and you're lounging on the couch and my husband was cooking me food and people were dropping things off and it was just this bubble of like, oh my God, it's me and this little person and like the most insane love explosions, exhaustion, physical, just like what is happening to my body, like this, it was just wild. But what an empowering, incredible, and for some women it doesn't feel like this, but my experience was that it was the most transformative few weeks of my life, even more so than the birth. The birth was remarkable, but it was those first few weeks where I was like, oh, I have landed. Here I am, everything I've ever wanted, like bingo. And I was just thinking about you because you have had these same feelings that I had about wanting to be a mum your whole life. And I'm just so excited for you. I'm just feeling so much excitement for you. And I know that you have this coming up. And I just like the fact that you're already in the place of surrender is just key.
Yeah, because birth is all about surrender. And we talk about that all the time. It's like the biggest, my doula, Sonia, who's our nanny, she reminded me of that in my third pregnancy. She was like, surrender. It's so important. But like I had to let go of so much because I was so worried about COVID and like,
Totally.
as Teresa knows, I was like the person walking around with goggles and a hazmat suit, like just to go like out in the world.
She was hilarious.
And oh my God. And so like there's so much I had to let go of walking into the hospital that day because I ended up giving birth in the hospital during COVID. And, it's just so amazing to reflect on that and to think about that. So what are the things that you're sort of looking forward to? How are you sort of like prepping for the day? And what are you thinking about? Are you daydreaming? Are you envisioning? Are you meditating? Like what? Light the incense. Tell us all of the things.
I mean, I did that crazy thing that most pregnant gals do, which I was like, I need to redo my kitchen. Like a month
yes.
Always renovating during pregnancy.
Always.
It's like nobody talks about people are like, oh my God, you're going to want to nest at the end. No one is like, you will feel like a psychopath until you can put diapers away and fold tiny clothes.
That's right.
And so I've just literally been like waiting to do it. My partner the other day, I was like, babe, but you don't understand. I just need to organize the clothes. I just need to like put the diapers away. Oh. So we're staying at my mom's right now. We have been for like the last 2 weeks while our kitchen is getting finished. So I was kind of in a panic when I thought I was going to labor the other night because I was like, I don't even have a hospital bag. I have nothing. I have not washed any clothes. I don't even know where the strollers are. Or, and so it was a wake-up call. Yeah, it was a wake-up call for us because we both looked at each other and we were like, we are not ready today. No. But it was good because we like got the clothes, washed the clothes, put the car seat in the car, prepped a little bit. I'm hoping that everything will be wrapped up by next week, but I was like, I want to have a home birth, but I have no home to birth in. Like, this is I do very well under pressure, but still, I was like,
wow.
But I think for me, I'm such a, I don't know if you guys are like this. I'm like a prepper kind of in a way. Like I want to have, my essential oils and my diffuser. I want to have, okay, this is my latest hack that is the most genius thing I've done, and I stole it from my osteopath. It's like $140. It's a towel warmer for wet towels that they use in hair salons.
Yeah.
And there's this little gal, a mom in Tennessee, who makes microwavable hot packs. You put the hot packs in a little towel warmer, and then they're always hot.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You don't have to do any sort of microwaving. Hello.
And you put little essential oils on it.
Yes. So literally for a good chunk, I would say, right in the beginning of my third trimester, when you're just getting real uncomfortable, not that it hasn't gotten increasingly more uncomfortable, but I would literally at the end of the night, she makes little heart-shaped ones. I would just put it on my chest and put one on my low back.
Oh, that's so nice.
And then I was like, when you're breastfeeding and you need help, like it's a game changer. So I want to have all, I love the accoutrement of things. I love like,
so do
all of the different weird. Yeah, I feel like you I don't know why, but like when I would see your post too, I felt the same way. I was like, this person understands the program.
Oh my gosh.
I really need to be friends with you.
I know. I was just thinking this whole time, I was like, I feel really happy because I feel like Rumer and I are going to become good friends. And then Sarah and I did a podcast with Rachel Bilson like a number of weeks ago. And her best friend, Olivia. And I was like, oh my God, I have all these like amazing new besties to come home to America to. Yay. Yes. I'm so excited.
That's right. Well, we'll all get together. We'll come over and powwow in your like.
We all have to get.
Are you going to do?
Wow.
like a first 40 days, are you planning on like sort of staying at home? Are you gonna want to like, pack the baby up and go to the beach after the first 2 weeks, or like what's your post? Do you have a postpartum plan yet? Or are you not there yet?
I think I've been, it's so weird. Like I have a high pain tolerance. But like weirdly, there is a part of me that's kind of scared about being in like the divine unknowing of the birth process, because again, if someone was like, all right, it's going to be this painful, it's going to last for 10 to 20 hours, like 10 hours, and this is how it's going to feel, I'd be like, all right, I got it.
Yes.
Got this.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, cool, I can prepare, I can handle it. But there's something about the unknowing of it that is definitely, again, it's part of my curriculum to work on in the surrender, which, I'm here for. But so it's like I almost haven't even gotten past there. But for me, I think the most important things are, I don't know, just like taking time to savor it and to not rush. And I'm thinking about working with a postpartum doula as opposed to a night nurse, because I'm like, I don't need someone to take care of the kid for me. I need someone to take care of me.
Yes, Sarah had that. That's what I always said, because my family doesn't live here, so I was like, you can only lean on your friends so much. And, with my first, I had like packed my freezer full of so much food that I made and like lasagnas, and, that gets old after a while. But, with each birth, I learned more. And then, with my last birth, I had Sonia, our nanny and doula, at the last 2 births. But we really did, like the last one, we did the first 40 days, like full on, where I stayed in bed and, had like all the broths and the meals and like all of that, like in my room and in my space. And I just kept things really like slow and steady. And it's hard because I'm a very up and go person, I'm like always like wanting to take the kids and doing something and running. And so for a minute, I really had to like get into that. Okay, we're going to slow everything down, Sarah. We're going to like just be here now with the family. My favorite memories were like having our dinner on the bedroom floor, like throwing out a picnic blanket and like doing that and just being in this space. I'm in my bedroom right now, so that's why I keep doing this. It's because I'm here in this space right now. But yeah, no, I love hearing that. And yeah, I so relate to you in that feeling of like, I don't know what to expect in terms of the, pain tolerance. And like, I always had really heavy periods. So I was like, is it going to feel like that? Or, and
you're trying to like relate it to, you're trying to give yourself context.
That's right. I'm trying to get like context. But what's interesting though is that Teresa was at my first birth, and she came in, I don't know when it was. It was like midnight. I was barely dilated, maybe like 4 centimeters.
Yeah.
And I'm like doing my like yoga ball, like riding the yoga ball and like doing some moaning. But it was so cute because I remember Teresa saying like, what does it feel like? Does it feel like what you expected it to feel like? And I was like, yeah, it kind of does. Like, it's kind of what I thought. And this is what I said to you the other day, because you were starting to have Braxton Hicks.
Yeah.
And I was like, imagine that just more consistent and just feeling the power of it, like getting more intense and then getting less intense and then more intense and less intense.
I always say one of my good girlfriends just gave birth to a little boy. He's so cute. About a week ago. And I had sent her my last 2, I'll send it to you too if you want, Rumer. I've got these 2 videos, like 4 minutes each, for my middle 2 children, right as they come out. And I can really, like, I'm doing my specific pushing breaths, which really help limit tears. So I sent it to my friend and I was like, watch this, like just watch the breath, because I learned this from Ina May Gaskin, and I didn't tear, and I did tear the first time, and then I didn't tear the second time, the third time, the fourth time. And she told me, she was like, whoa, the birth, wow, it was so different to what I expected, and I just had to let go. And he's here and the out, wow, I feel like I just am cracked open, a new person. But the great thing that we were talking about is that the body is designed, it's designed to let you have some respite, which, so all I looked at in birth is it's 1 minute. So I take 1 minute at a time. So it's like you go, you feel the peak of it. You know when it's the peak. You can vocalize it all out, get all the feeling out, movement, whatever you do, use the water. And then once it comes back down, you get a rest. Generally, you have this rest. So I looked at each one as like, I can get through a minute. And by the end of it, like those minutes of, you know, you look back and like, wow, that was actually 10 hours of work. That's insane. I feel so exhausted. But the body is so smart.
Yeah, it's not like that in the moment.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just think it's 10 straight hours of the most insane feelings you could possibly imagine. And I'm like, it's not like that. It's kind of like being on a treadmill and you press the sprint button up to 10 and you sprint for a minute, and then you get to like split your legs while it's still going, and you get to breathe, and then you get back on again. So I always looked at it like that, and I was like, I got this, I can do this.
Well, and to me too, it's like I used to do that actually when I had anxiety really bad after I got sober. When I would have panic attacks when I was having to fly back and forth to Chicago, when I would have to get on a plane, because I would always get nauseous. And then I would just do the same thing where I'd be like, okay, I just have to get through 5 minutes. And then you get through those 5 minutes and then you do the next. But I think, I don't know if you guys experienced this, but I'm curious to ask you. I, right before I got pregnant, over like the last year, did a lot of like medicine journey work.
Mushroom work.
Which is like honestly why I think I am pregnant, because I dealt with like a lot of old stuff that I needed to let go of. And to me, pregnancy is literally, I feel the exact same way I felt when I was doing medicine.
Wow.
Exactly the same way.
I
would get those rushes in your head, you know, like when you feel those hormone rushes in the very beginning and you feel that feeling of like shaky and you're kind of like, I feel weak or I don't know what to do, but it was exactly the same. And so I feel like pregnancy is literally just like being on like a very extended medicine journey, because you have to surrender. You have to just like
lean into it.
Present. I
was invited to do a medicine trip with my sister wife, which is my husband's ex-girlfriend. And she was like, come and do this. Let's do this together. And we've been through so much together. We've had, you know, so much trauma like between us. There's the dynamic has shifted and shaped, and now we're in an amazing place. So she was like, let's go do this journey together. And it's so funny because there's such a history of mental illness in my family. I have had this like real resistance to doing the work, which makes me realize that I should actually lean into the resistance there. There's so much that I can unpack, and I am so ready and excited to do it. When I get back to LA, I think there's something going on. I can hear the whisperings of something that's going to happen. But then last night, Mark and I totally had this journey together without any, like, completely sober journey last night. Like we got to the place where we were like so high, and it was all through talk. It was all through just like sitting and talking and connecting, and just like, it was so unbelievable that I felt high and euphoric the way that like I do in pregnancy. Those feelings that I feel like in birth, in those moments where it's just you're looking into your newborn's eyes and you're having that otherworldly, I'm connected into source right in this moment feeling. And it was, Mark and I were like, well, it was so wild that we just like tripped in that way and we're completely sober. It was So cool.
By the way, I can so see that, Tez, because when we had our family trip together to Spain, and we would all sit around and talk, and we had these big, beautiful conversations about life, and we would talk so openly just about our feelings and everything, and it was amazing. And when we did the podcast with Mark, his 2 episodes, he was just so open and beautiful.
And then other people were vibrating, listening to the episodes, and we were like, we could see the numbers going up with the episodes, and we're like, wow, what is going on? But yeah, look, all this like woo-woo stuff, Sarah and I always talk about it. Like, we love it. And there's such a correlation between like birth and fertility and like just the womanhood and that whole thing. It all just lends itself to like the great expansiveness of the universe. It's so unbelievable.
Yes. Well, we are so excited to hear all about what's going to happen with your beautiful birth. And we'll be thinking of you. All the daisies will be thinking of you too. And which is so cool. We'll all be like energetically holding you in this beautiful way in our minds and, just sending you all the well wishes. And, I think I always hear people say like, no one talks about this or no one talks about that in terms of like birth and pregnancy and all the things. And we really try to talk about everything, and every experience is different. Every birth is different. It's unique to you. Every postpartum experience is different. It's going to be unique to you and this little soul that's going to come into the world. So we're really excited to hear all about it. And we're just so excited for you to experience it and to surrender and to transform into this like new state of being. It's amazing.
Oh, send you all the love beams.
And I want to honor you guys too. And I'm sure everybody that listens feels this way, even though like I feel like I know you guys. I like the way that you guys share so candidly, and the way that you talk about birth and even talk about pooping or fluids or whatever. Like, it's so important. It's so vital. Truly. I really believe that, like the way that you guys share, because that is what's missing in this space. What is missing is the honesty. Like, what's missing is the way that Mark shared. What's missing is the way that Eric shared when he was talking about like having, I can't remember exactly what it was, but he was having a moment talking with one of your kids, and it struck me so much, like hearing stories of dads, of moms, and of people talking about their experiences in a way that is from a grounded and honest place, that's saying, I don't know everything. This is how I've done it. This is what works for me. This is real life. This is like, the real stuff is where you find the true love. And that's the thing that I'm the most deeply grateful for. Like you were sharing, Tez, like I thought that I would find a partner who was like this and it would feel like this. And I realized that I had no idea what true partnership and what love was until I started experiencing what I have with my partner now, which is being able to be human with them, being vulnerable with them, having them as your lover, as your best friend, as your partner, but also just being able to be like a human being who has a rash that you need your partner to look at, or has like, like
totally.
You know what I mean? Like, you have to be able to be vulnerable that way. I can't see anything below my belly.
I know.
You have to be able to like look at your partner and be like, I need you to look at this thing on my thigh because I don't know what's happening.
Please shave my pubes.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you have to be able to have those conversations. And I think you guys are just like leading the charge in such a beautiful way for moms to be able to share in that way.
Oh, you're amazing, Rumer.
We love you.
I'm obsessed with you. You're incredible.
I know.
I'm going to be showing up at your door being like, hey, do you remember me? I'm the new best friend and we're hanging out.
That's right.
We got to like schedule this out, guys, so we can do like number 5, number 4, and number 2.
I know. Yes. Done.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes, exactly. And they're energetically, there's something here. We'll be doing something together, the three of us. That is for sure.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for coming and doing this with us today. We love you and we'll be thinking of you. And you guys can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. We love you, daisies.
Bye.
And Rumer, we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.